Hey guys, my name is Savannah and I'm a part-time fashion reseller on Poshmark. And I'm super excited about today's video because it's actually sponsored by Poshmark. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing my top 5 tips for making money on Poshmark. For those of you who don't know what it is, Poshmark is a fashion marketplace that's perfect for people who are more casual sellers who just want to turn items from their own closet into cash, or people like me who want to actually start their own fashion reselling business. So without any further ado, let's get to the tips. So for tip number 1, we're discussing creating a brand for your business. And what does it mean to have a brand? Well, your brand is going to be basically the feel and the whole vibe of your Poshmark closet, your whole business. So that can include the name of your closet, your logo if you choose to have one, your photos and the style of your photos, your backdrops, things like that, your packaging, even the style of clothing that you choose to sell. You want your brand to be cohesive, you want it to be unique, and you want it to be memorable. So that when people see your brand and they see your closet, they know that it's you right off the bat. So for my brand, I go for more of a clean, modern, sleek look. I chose the color scheme of black, white, gray, and then for little pops of color here and there, I like to use some copper or rose gold. The reason I like to go for these more neutral colors is because I sell a lot of bohemian clothing, a lot of clothing that is very rich in color. There's a lot of pattern, a lot of texture. So the clothing themselves are very exciting, very unique, and I really want them to stand out and be the star of the show. So that's why I go with cleaner silhouettes and more neutral colors. An example of my color scheme is in these stickers, these labels that I created for myself. You can see I've got a brand with just a simple text logo. It says salvaged cloth. That's me. And then I have these cute thank you stickers that are just black and white patterns that I added thank you to. And I use both of these in my packaging. My packaging also includes either a USPS box, which I get for free from the post office. You can even have them shipped directly to your house for free, or if I'm shipping something smaller, something lightweight, then I will use just a plain black poly mailer. So I definitely keep with the black and white with my packaging. I also keep with this color scheme when I'm taking my photos. If I'm taking hanging photos, then I use just a white wall as the backdrop, and for my flat lays, I have a gray fluffy rug that I like to use. So again, just keeping things clean and simple, not detracting in any way from my clothing. And that way my photos are cohesive and they kind of go with my color scheme still. And I just feel like it works well for the sort of modern bohemian look that I'm going for. So that is part of my branding. So when you're thinking about branding, it's really important to really start with what vibe you're going to go with and then kind of brainstorm names that you want to use. Once you come up with a name, you definitely want to do a quick Google search just to make sure that no one else is using it, because again, you want that to be unique and memorable. And you also want to do a search on Poshmark to see if the closet name is available, and on any other social media sites that you might want to utilize for your Poshmark business, like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. Just make sure that the name that you want is available on those platforms, because you don't want to have, say, salvaged cloth, this one, salvaged cloth on Poshmark, and then be salvaged cloth boutique on Instagram, salvaged cloth _shop on Facebook. You know, you want it to be very cohesive across the board. People want to be able to find you, or you want people to be able to find you very easily. So it's just making yourself identifiable, making your business cohesive in its look, and also making it easy for people to find you. That's what branding is all about. For tip number 2, we're talking about prepping our items for sale. And this is a step that a lot of people don't really think about initially when they're starting a reseller business. You know, everyone thinks about the fun part of shopping and finding the items to sell. No one really wants to think about the part that's the real work, which is preparing the items and even listing them as part of that. So preferably this first step you would have done in the thrift store, which is actually to check for any flaws in your item. But I know a lot of times, you know, we may run out of time in the thrift store, or in my case, a lot of the thrift stores around here are very dark. It's difficult to see any kind of flaws until I get the items home. So once you get your items home, even if you've already checked them for flaws in the thrift store, go over them again. Go over them with a fine-toothed comb, because you want to make sure that these items are in great condition. And if they aren't, you can still list them, but make sure that you're going to list any flaws in the description so that people know exactly what they're getting. Otherwise, you're just opening yourself up to having a case built against you. So step number 1 of prep is just making sure that your item is in good condition, making sure that there aren't any stains or holes or tears, or if there are any issues, that you can either take care of those issues before you list them, or that you disclose that in the listing. Okay, and the next step that I go through for prepping my items is to clean them. So get rid of any stains, use a stain cleaner. For shoes, I like to remove, a lot of times they have marker prices on the bottom of them, so I like to try and remove those if I can. Cleaning up any leather or suede or anything like that if I can. And then a lot of times I will end up with items that are dry clean only. So I have a Dryel bag that I can use for that. And then just running things through the washer, getting them nice and clean, get that thrift store smell out of them. Once you have your items all clean and ready to go, I like to steam my clothing. You can iron them if you prefer, if you don't have a steamer, but honestly, you can get steamers for pretty cheap these days, even a handheld one. I have a big upright one that I got at a discount store for I think like $30. Not very much considering how convenient it is and how much better it makes your items look for photography. So I highly recommend investing in a steamer if you're going to be doing this as a business. And then once you steam them, it's easy to go ahead and measure your items. I measure everything so that I can already have the measurements listed in my description. That way no one comes to me asking for measurements. It's already all right there. I've got it taken care of. I don't have to go later back through my inventory, pull something out of the bag that I'm storing it in, get measurements, and tell someone, you know, it's already there. So just go ahead and take care of that and get it out of the way. So again, just check for any flaws. Get your items clean, whether that's dry cleaning them yourself at home, getting rid of any stains. It includes sweater shaving to get rid of pilling on items, and then make sure that you steam them or iron them. Just get those wrinkles out somehow, and go ahead and get measurements as well. Tip number 3. Photos. I cannot tell you how important good photos are. Photos are the first thing that customers are going to see. It's going to be what will hopefully draw them in and make them want to see more. So you need to have photos that are clean, that are clear, and that really show off the item. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to really show this item in its best light so that people want to buy it. So the first thing to remember about photos is that you get 8 of them. Poshmark allows you to upload 8 photos. So put as many in there as you possibly can. Use all 8 as often as you can. A good rule of thumb for me is I like to show the front of the item, the back of the item, any special details, you know, if it has funky buttons, if it's got pockets, if it's got a cool collar or, you know, embroidered detail. Take close-up photos of those things. Really show off the details. Show what makes this item special. And then in addition to that, I take photos of every single tag in the item, whether it's new with tags, you want to take a picture of the hang tags, or, you know, even if it's not new with tags, you want to take pictures of the label, the brand label, the size tag, the materials tag, and the washing instructions, those tags as well. Just make sure that you are thoroughly documenting in photos your item. Now, in addition to having lots of photos, you also want to make sure that your photos are really light and bright. You don't want your beautiful item to be in front of just a mess. So keep your backdrop really clean and bright and light and neutral. So I like to shoot on a white wall. If you don't have a white wall in your home, you can use a sheet or a curtain. You can also use just white poster board. Whatever you have at your disposal is totally fine. You can also buy a backdrop from Amazon. It just depends on what you have at your disposal, what is in your budget. And in addition to your backdrop, keeping it really clean, you also want to have good lighting. Now, again, depending on your budget, that can mean going outside to take your photos or taking your photos in a really bright room in your house. I don't have one of those, so I ended up investing in a couple of cheap umbrella lights. I say investing, but I mean, I got 2 lights for less than $40. But I'm not going to link you to those because you get what you pay for. Mine are very cheaply made. They do the job, but I will eventually be upgrading for sure. So if your budget allows, then I would suggest getting maybe a ring light or a softbox light kit, something that is going to be sturdy, but that is also easy for you to move around in case you need to. So definitely good lighting. If you don't know how to use lights properly, I suggest looking up some tutorials on photo lighting. It's very helpful. One key thing to remember is if you're taking pictures really in any light, but especially if you're taking pictures outside in the sunlight, you want to make sure that you're not creating any shadows on your item, because again, we want the light to be kind of diffused. We don't want any distractions on our item. We want to show the item and that's it. I get really annoyed when I'm looking at a beautiful garment styled nicely on a mannequin or a dress form and it's just in front of clutter. It's like, come on man, did you even try? So yeah, again, just keep a really nice, clean, subtle backdrop because it's not about the background. It's about the item. I know a lot of people want to use like a cute backdrop, and that's fine if you want to style your photos up a little bit, totally cool, but make sure that it is not distracting, that it's not taking anything away from the garment, because you want customers' focus to be on the item that you're selling and not everywhere else. So yeah, make sure to use all of your photo slots, all 8 of them, even if you need to create a photo collage inside of an app so that you can get even more photos, do that. Make sure that you're photographing all of the details that are special about your garment. Make sure that your backdrop is really clean and light and neutral, that it's not detracting from the item, and make sure that your lighting is great. Now, if you are still having trouble with lighting, then I suggest trying out a photo editing app. My favorites are Snapseed and PicTapGo. Just make sure if you're brightening up your images that you're not editing them so much that it's changing the look or the colors of the item. You really want to be careful of that. You want to show it as accurately as possible. 4, almost as important as photos are your descriptions and titles. Please, please use your titles and descriptions. I get so frustrated when I see a title and it just says dress or it just says plaid top. You're not utilizing your title correctly and to its full advantage if you're not filling it up. So what I like to do is I start with the brand. So let's say I have an Anthropologie sweater. So I will start with Anthropologie, and then behind that I'll put either the style name if I know it, or just a description of what the product is. So if I don't know the style name, then I might put Anthropologie waterfall hem cardigan. You know, just describe it. Because what's important to remember is that the title and the description are both searchable. So you want to fill it with as many keywords as you can. So if someone is searching for a waterfall hem cardigan or even just a cardigan, then your item will pop up closer to the top of the search. So descriptions, please use your descriptions. You are trying to describe your item. Do it well. Describe the item almost as if, you know, there are no photos and you're trying to tell your customers what it is that you're selling. So be sure to include colors, any distinctive patterns, any special details that need to be included or need to be brought out. If it has pockets, you know, what type of collar it is, what type of cut it is, which is really important. You also need to learn your fashion jargon so that you can better describe items. And then make sure to include the size of the item as well as measurements. I mentioned before that you need to measure your items while you're prepping them. So make sure that you include the measurements in your description. I can't tell you how much time it will save you in the long run from people, because people will ask you for measurements. So you just want to go ahead and beat them to it. List them in there. You don't have to go back and worry about it later. It's already taken care of. And then also list the condition of the item. I always list, you know, pre-owned in excellent condition, or new with tags, or new without tags. You know, just make sure that you're listing the condition of the item. And then I also like to list a disclaimer. I do have pets. I try my best to avoid any pet hair getting on the items before I ship them out, but Lord knows it finds a way. So I always have a disclaimer that my items ship from a smoke-free, pet-friendly home, just so if they happen to want to open a case later against me that says, oh, there's cat hair everywhere, then I can be like, I did mention that. So you just want to cover your butt with your descriptions. Last but not least, it's having a pricing strategy for your items. It's really important to know how much you've paid for items, how much you have in your cost of goods, as well as how much your Poshmark fees are going to be, so that you know how much you need to sell it for in order to make a profit. Not only that, but you want to have a plan in place for making your profit, like how much of a profit you want to make. Whether you want to have a certain percentage that you profit on each item, or whether you have a certain dollar amount that you want to profit off of each item. Like say I want to make sure that I'm profiting at least $15 per item that I sell. Whatever your strategy is, just make sure that you have one and that you stick to it. Another thing that I suggest is pricing up. People on Poshmark love to make offers. So something that I like to do is I look at comps on the Poshmark app. I'll go to, I'll just do a search of whatever it is that I'm pricing, whatever it is that I'm selling. And then I'll go and I'll look at, I'll see what people are listing them for currently. And then I'll also look at the sold listings to see how much they've sold for. And based off of that, I'll kind of come up with a price, keeping in mind how much I paid and how much Poshmark will take. And I'll come up with a price that's 20 to 25% above what I know I want to make from it. Because more than likely you will take an offer on items. I've had a few items sell for full price, but most of the time people want to get a deal and they're gonna make you an offer. So make sure that you have some wiggle room in there so that you can take offers and still make a good profit on your item. Something to keep in mind is the Poshmark fees, which are 20% of whatever the sell price is, unless your item is $15 or less, in which case Poshmark will take a flat fee of $2.95 per item. So yes, keep that in mind, as well as any shipping discounts that you may want to give. If you do offers to likers, you can, and actually you have to include at least a slight shipping discount. So make sure that you are allowing for Poshmark fees, shipping discounts, and your cost of goods. to really think up how much profit you're making, and just keep all of that in mind. And there's other things to keep in mind as well, such as your packaging. You want to keep the cost of your packaging pretty low. You can do that by using the free boxes that USPS provides. You can, find shipping supplies at the dollar store that are super cute. So just keep all of these things in mind when you're talking about a pricing strategy, so that you are making the most profit you possibly can. So those were my top 5 tips for making money on Poshmark. If you liked what you saw, then I would love it if you would give me a like and a subscribe. And if you want to try making money on Poshmark, then hit the link below to download the app and give it a go. And if you'd like to see more videos from me, then I would love to see your ideas for videos in the comments below. Leave me a comment and I'll see what I can do. And I'm also going to link to my personal Poshmark closet down below, so that you can kind of see how I have utilized these tips myself. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.